All right. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Dr. Kelly, you're in your office?
I'm still in my office, man.
Oh, man. You weren't off today?
No, man. This is private practice. You work holidays.
I
Were you
see.
on, were you at the hospital today?
No, I wasn't. This is one of the first years I got this weekend off, actually.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, which is nice. Okay, so you work. Yeah, I saw on your website that you work Monday through Friday, but I didn't know if this Monday you were off or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that was one of the things that, kind of went back and forth with you for a hot second there on your Instagram messaging is, yeah, private practice is different than residency. You get a lot of great things about private practice and a few things that, are a little different. For example, kids are out on Martin Luther King Day, right? And so
Ooh.
a lot of the local school, a lot of those kids went through. I probably saw, I think I had 16 consults in the afternoon and did maybe, close to a dozen things this morning. So,
Great. Yeah.
yeah.
So Monday through Friday, I saw you start at 8 typically. Most days, I think, what, Friday? Is this 7?
So my particular schedule is I go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Like we start at 8. And the girls get here, probably 7:15. They get, stuff rolling. They got patients back, seated by 7:30. I roll in at 8. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Then our last consult's at 4:30. We're out of here by 5. And then Wednesday we start early. We go 7. Sometimes we'll even go 6. And then we'll do surgeries or just in-office surgeries till about 1, and then we'll, I'll do some admin stuff in the afternoon, and those girls will restock and, do some of their stuff. A couple of them are getting recertified for dance right now, and because of that, they're doing, some, studying and that kind of thing. And then Fridays we start early, go 7, and just until there's no more procedure. So Fridays tend to be more like a 7 to 3 kind of day.
Yeah, 7 to 3, more like more of a half day, more or less. So this is your office, right? You're over in Arizona.
Yeah, I'm in Arizona.
Can I know? Yeah, what was that?
I was going to say suburb of Phoenix. So I don't know how familiar you've been out here before.
I've been to Phoenix once. I mean, I was maybe yay high. I don't remember it as much as I like.
Yeah, so you got Phoenix is a fairly big city. You got Scottsdale, Tempe, Mesa, Gilbert, Queen Creek. That's on mostly the east side of town. And then you got Surprise, Peoria, all that kind of stuff on the west side of town. So I'm on the east side in the east suburb, but I can go up to Suns game and be there in 20 minutes, or downtown 20 minutes, 30 minutes time.
It's pretty good. That's great. Were you always in Arizona? Where are you from?
So I grew up in Salt Lake. So my story is I grew up in Salt Lake. At the time, the West didn't have a lot of dental schools, believe it or not. So there was so Arizona's now got Midwestern's got AT Still, Nevada's got one, I think, at UNLV, Utah's got University of Utah, and then Roseman.
Yep.
So at the time when I was applying, you basically had, you had UCLA, you had Oregon, Colorado had a school, but it was pretty much only an in-state deal, in-state, guys only. So I applied to, I don't know, the typical, 10 schools, got into about 7, 8 of them. And I picked University of Louisville. So I went to University of Utah for undergrad and human biology. Then I went to University of Louisville for my dental school. And while I was there, I also got a master's in oral biology. That was like you could take some additional classwork, do some research, that kind of stuff, and defend a thesis and get a master's.
Good. Yeah.
There, and then
so that was on top of dental school. It wasn't like you did a post-bac year where it was during. Yeah.
It was during. I mean, when I was in residency, during my first year of residency, I had to go back to defend that thesis to officially get the master. That's at least how Louisville did it.
And I'm sure that went okay.
Yeah, that did, yeah.
And where'd you go to residency?
So I was in Wisconsin, Gunderson Lutheran Medical Center in Wisconsin. So I don't know if you're familiar with it, kind of a smaller program, really kind of a private practice feel to it. So if you're familiar with it's in La Crosse, Wisconsin, right up against the Mississippi River, cool little town, and one resident a year.
One resident a year. Oh my!
Yeah, one residence. There was just 4 of us. I haven't kept up with it too much. At the time, we had a decent amount of attendees. What really actually was good at the time was they paid their attendees really well, right? So they got, because it, once again, they were paid off of production, right? It wasn't just like, here's your salary from your
Right.
university kind of thing. And so anyways, had a good experience out there, did a lot of procedures, and then I hit the ground running when I came to Arizona. My story, actually, I was thinking about this earlier today. Probably one thing that's a little bit, I don't know if it's unique, but it might be helpful to some of your listeners.
Yeah.
Would be, so I came out, just like you, had a whole bunch of different job offers, could have gone to several places. And I joined a group practice, good guys, good practice. We had 3 locations. Well, they were open up the 3rd when I was coming to town. 3 doctors. I was the 4th. Right.
And this was Arizona initially, or
yeah, that's
was
right.
it different?
That's,
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No, right here. And so, and I think that you can learn some stuff from this. I certainly did. Like I said, I want to make it really clear. These are good guys, good doctors, good practitioners, good people. But sometimes, it just doesn't work out, right? So I was with this group for 9 years. I was a 25% owner. This next part might shock you a bit. We did not have contracts, right? So we did not have, I had an associate 1-year contract. We had no contracts beyond that. I was the youngest of the guys, obviously. So when I got there,
You got the short end of the stick.
well, I mean, it depends how you look at it. I'll give you the story real quick. And I listened to a couple of things that you've done. I know I think you're going in New York someplace, right? You're joining a group in New York.
Yeah, on Long Island. I'll start in August.
Right. And so, one of the things that this particular group did was they split income just by 25% apiece, right? Regardless of production, right? So it benefits the young doctor for the first couple of years, but it doesn't benefit you long term. And when the older guys have no date they want out, right? So, and they can scale back, work less, but still get equal pay. So I did that, for a while. And then I had a lot of success amongst the doctors that wanted to send to me, a lot of referral sources in the area, in greater Phoenix area, and built some good relationships up on my own. And, it just came to the point where, we needed to make some contracts to move forward, or we needed to do something different. I've been in the group for 8 years. Like I said, nice doctors, good guys, no shade their way at all. But
how old were the older doctors, if I can know? How old were they?
When I got there, the 2 most senior guys were, I think, 50, 51 or so, right? 50-ish. Okay. They were about the same age, right? So
fairly
that puts
young.
them, yeah, fairly young. So it put me about 58 put them about 58, because I was 8-9 years in when we were getting lopsided on production. Does that make sense?
Right, I see.
And there was one doc about 3 or 4 years older than me, and he'd been in the practice. And like I said, good guys. And just, I either needed some contracts that showed, hey, what do we buy out the senior partners with? Like what's some definitive kind of numbers, looking how long is everyone in practice. And in the end, we met, and we mutually, went our different ways. So I was able to get up at my own practice, rolling, and started about 3 to 4 months later.
Pretty good. Yeah.
So it went pretty quick, and I've been in my location for 10 years now. So believe it or not, 10 years. Excellent. And so, practicing by yourself has its ups and downs as far as, some advantages. But, I for sure, oral maxillofacial surgery is the best specialty out there. I have a younger brother who's a plastic surgeon in town. We're good friends. We go on runs all the time together, exercise. He's a great dude. And, we compare different stuff, but oral surgery is where it's at. Whether you're in group practice, whether you're solo, probably ideal if I would, tell you what an ideal situation is, probably a smaller group, right?
Right.
2 guys, 3 guys. The biggest struggle, and I don't even know if that exists out east where you guys are, but it does to a certain extent out here. The biggest struggle is when you're a minority owner, right? You really have no control, and nobody ever tells you that. You get no information in school. There's nothing in residency. Most of the attendings in residency have always been in the hospital, or if they were in private practice, they didn't do it for very
It's true.
long. But yeah, so I was a 25% owner, right? Which gives me 25% of the, profit sharing and all that good stuff. But it doesn't mean you have 25% of the say. Right?
Mm,
And young guys coming out, you find that out in a hurry. Absolutely. Surgeons have different personalities, right?
I
And I
certainly
was
do.
you ever done that kind of color, like what's it called? Like a, red, blue, yellow kind of, personality test. I think there's another one
Yeah.
called an Enneagram, right? But
Yeah.
I never really was into much of that. I'm still not that much, but sometimes the girls at the office will take it just to kind of see to get along with, who with this kind of stuff, or how to best relate with somebody.
Mm,
I'm telling you, if you're in a group practice and there's a lot of red personalities, it's hard.
yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's just hard. And so I tend to be more of a blue, maybe more of a lover, not a fighter, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
anyways, great guys. But I will say this: have contracts and they have a way in and a way out, right? So
Right.
that
Right.
some guys are like, hey, this is my in, but they don't know what things look like going out, right? So you might get into a practice, build it up, and then have
Mm,
no equity in it, coming out. So there's
right.
certainly, there's don't be afraid to have, for whether it's you or your younger partners, don't be afraid to spend the money on an attorney. I know, sometimes in residency you're coming out, you're kind of at an all-time low, maybe as far as what your bank accounts are looking like. But
It's true.
oral surgery has money in it. It's for sure. It's awesome. It's a great specialty, and set yourself up right. And one other thing, real quick, and I'll let you answer some questions. I'll never forget when I was in residency. I was sitting there at lunch one time, and I had this. There was a bariatric surgeon, a fellow there, and he said to me, oh, "Man, hey Kelly, man, you look stressed. What's going on?" I said, "Man, I'm trying to decide which practice, this one to join or this one." He's like, "Why are you so stressed out?" And I said, "Well, if I make the wrong decision, I screw up. I screw this up. I'm married. I got kids. I got this pressure on me."
Oh, you were married by then in residency?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah.
got
That adds a
for
lot to it.
sure. I was. So,
Yeah.
anyways, he looks at me straight as can be, and he says, "Look, man, in medicine, everybody bounces 2 or 3 times before you find your final home," and that is true. He was in his third surgical, uh, you know, place, town, whatever you want to say, hospital before he was starting to settle down.
Mm,
We put a lot of pressure on you, often because there's money exchange. Where in the MD world, there's often not much money exchange. Like you're not buying in. Here's the deal. You're just working for somebody, or
yeah.
you're joining any group that might already be like an MSO, or in our world now, I guess there's a lot of DSOs. The guys are just joining. You can always just join something for a couple of years and then decide how really you want to practice, right?
Right. Right. I mean, yeah, I feel like that was more feasible when, or for example, in your case where you had kids during residency, how many?
Okay, so I started dental school. I just got married, went out, and I had my first child at the start of my third year, and then I had my second right as we were leaving to go to residency. And then, so I have 4 kids, so they're all in college right now. And just my youngest just finished up high school this last.
So
So
your
yeah,
youngest two were just after or towards the end of residency?
say that again, Brandon.
Your youngest two were just after residency or towards the end?
It's towards the end. So I was on neurosurge with my third.
Mm.
I was doing this, spinal fusion, right? Like L, whatever it was, like L, 3, 4, whatever it was. And I was with this kind of crotchety old surgeon, and I had my pager. Do you even have a pager anymore? Or is it just a cell phone?
We still use them here. Yes,
Old
we
school.
do.
Okay. Yeah.
Most
So
most have cell phones, but we still have pagers. Yeah.
yeah. So I gave my pager to this nurse, and I said, "Look, man, my wife's she's upstairs. She's in labor. This is kid number 3. It may come quick. Just tap me, like give me some, kind of clues, without getting this surgeon, man."
Yeah.
So she'd come up and say, "Hey, this is what's going on," And anyways, this dude, he's screwing this, fixation in. He bumps his hand, right, and the blade tips, and he tears the dura. Right, and
Oh,
he's got a spinal, like fluid leak.
CSF. Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew all of us because we were about ready to close, right? CRMs and all that kind of stuff was going good. And anyways, so I knew this just delayed us 90 minutes or whatever. So I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't know how to get out of here, right? It's just me holding retraction, doing a few things for him, doing the big stuff. And anyways, to make a long story short, sure enough, this nurse, then the phone rings in the OR,
of
right?
course, of
And
course.
he's like, "Hey, this is labor and delivery nurse. She's up with your wife. Your wife says, do you intend to be to the birth of this child or not?" And this dude looks up. He pauses. He says, "Your wife in labor upstairs?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Get the hell out of here." Yeah. So, anyways, I went up just in time and caught. So that was my
Oh, that's
third
great.
child, and then fourth was just right as I was leaving. So, anyways, four kids, and great kids. I'm fortunate. I'm married well. My wife's been awesome. She's been really supportive through all this process. I mean, I think it's I got a lot of students that come through, shadow me. Kids getting ready to either apply to residency or in dental school. They're kind of just filling it out and stuff. I think this is the surgical specialty that offers lifestyle. And that's my opinion, right? I mean, you can be a total hospital-based guy. You can do a lot of trauma. You can do a lot of flaps. You can do a ton of orthodontic, whatever you want. Or you can dial back like I did, a decade into my practice. Primarily spend your time in your own office, just doing a lot of procedures, a lot of sedations each day. It brings me a lot of satisfaction, and it gives me, I've been my son's baseball coach, and I go to my daughter's cheer tournaments. I mean, I do, it allows you to kind of have a good lifestyle. So I think if you set yourself up right,
Yep.
and you have some freedom of your schedule, right? I guess if you work for somebody who doesn't give you much time off, and you kind of find yourself in more of a unfavorable spot, maybe that balance between life and career isn't quite there. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think I've been able to achieve it, and I've enjoyed my career so far.
Yeah, and congrats, kids and residency, getting that all done. And then also number three is, you're still with your wife, right? It's the same wife from the
Yeah,
beginning. I
yeah,
can't tell you how many oral surgeons I know. It's still with them wives.
Hey, another good story, real quick. I'm in my last month of residency, and this one of my attendings in his 911 Porsche. He said, "Hey Kelly, I want to take you. I'm taking you golfing. Let's go golfing. I like to golf." So we head to this course, and I learned most of my complications from this guy. He always had complications. Yeah, I don't know if you have one of those attendings. You're like, this guy teaches me how to manage complications. Well, and this dude says to me, he says, "Hey, you want me to give you the best tip I have for wealth?" I'm like, yeah, lay it on me. Let's go, bring it. And he said, "One house, one wife." That's what he said. You violate the one house, the one wife, and you end up in trouble. Like I'm with my same wife, and we're happily married, and it's we're going on a lot of years. But the property thing's a little different. I have a condo in Newport Beach. I got a couple places. Real estate can be a big benefit
Mm.
to your overall kind of wealth and strategy plan. I think oral surgery certainly allows you to do it. Certainly when you're young like you, even though the market's pretty high on a lot of stuff right now, and cost of living, I'm
Yeah,
sure it's crazy out in New York.
it is.
Over time, just saving your money, having a retirement plan, being disciplined, all that kind of stuff can certainly allow you to, have some other property. So back to what that attending said, at least it's worked the one wife, and it's worked for me. And maybe it's not for everybody out there, but I do see, I see a lot of young dentists come out, right, and they try to live the lifestyle real quick of somebody
Mm.
who's been out a while, right?
Yeah.
And that puts a lot of financial pressure on them. If they are in a relationship or married, that puts more pain and pressure on them relationship wise. And so
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm just kind of I guess I'm more of a simple guy, and so far that's worked for me.
Yeah, no, that's excellent advice. The property, I didn't even think of that because I figured, a lot of surgeons they get like the weekend house or like the condo, the getaway, maybe
Yeah.
Florida or something. No, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. I mean, I just figured one wife is it should be common sense, but then that guy or the girl,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like,
you're right.
that's
And,
actually a good point. You
surgery's
know,
got a kind of a bad rap when it comes to that. And I'm not talking just OMS. I'm talking, surgery in general has maybe not always been
Mm.
the best, moral compass when it comes to,
Yeah,
quality or whatnot. For my advice, I at least give people on that front is, if you plan to work in a community and be in a community, your reputation matters. And everybody can manage their own reputation how they want, and no one's flawless. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm just saying that do your best to try to keep your nose clean,
Yeah,
whatever that means, according to your own values and principles and that kind of thing.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think that helps. I mean, your referral sources are what make or break you in this profession, right? So having some referral sources that are true to you, and you'll do anything for them, and they trust you, and you trust them. I think that just means a lot, and
Mm.
getting to know their families. I don't know if that. I'm assuming that can happen in a big city like New York, but maybe it's not quite as the
Same
reality.
thing, right? It's a little different. I mean, it's just so overpopulated in Manhattan. I'm actually going to be out on the island. It's more of a suburb area, and it's the hometown I grew up in. It's near the hometown I grew up in. I mean, the practice that I signed with to work in, and I did the contracts. I paid
Good.
5,500 to get the attorneys to review it. It took like
Yep.
5 months to sign it. That it's a testament to what you said. You got to do that. You absolutely have to. They found things in that contract that I didn't even know were there. Like actually in multiple ways, and then they were able to say, no, we actually do need to change cannot practice dentistry to cannot practice oral surgery, because then they're like, well, 6 years ago, here's this paper of this case where it was dentistry and then the oral surgeon lost, and they couldn't do anything for 2 years for like the 48 restricted covenant, and I'm like, I didn't know that it went this literal. And so, no, excellent points, excellent points. The other
Yeah,
thing,
and often the docs
yeah,
that are putting
yeah,
together, I'm sorry, whoever's bringing you on, their contracts, they're not trying to maliciously put stuff in there that's going to hose you down the road.
right,
It's whether it's something that they've omitted or it's there or not. Over time, some things can be a little loosey goosey in their interpretation, and just
right.
needs some fresh eyes on it. And I think it's important for people to have independent kind of representation, regardless of what practice you're getting into. I mean, go into it with the mindset that it's going to work. I mean, that's what you want to do. You're going to go hop in, work your tail off, treat their employees right, because now they're your employees. You're trying to foster these relationships, because we are a
Oh yeah,
relation based specialty. We are guys that come out that just have a personality that's they
mm,
all that, and they treat their referral sources as less than, marginalize them. I just think it you won't be successful. You'll bounce a lot. You won't be happy in your career. So that's some general advice I have.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I signed a 2-year associate's degree, so it's exactly what you said. I'm getting out there. I want to make those relationships. I want
Yeah.
to be the favorite surgeon of the staff. I
Yeah.
want to meet all the
For
patients and the
sure.
referring doctors, and get the dinners, and like I told you, this is basically the area I grew up in.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going home, and full circle on that dream. It is an associate's degree, so I'll probably have to run some questions by along the way. But no, I'm trying to bring a lot to the practice, go balls to the wall, and hopefully get offered maybe a buy-in offer
Yeah.
after a year and a half or so, because that's ultimately my goal. And I think
Yeah.
you
And I
yeah,
think back when I first, differences. I had a third year resident. Actually, I'm sorry, second year resident in Midwest come by, shadow me a week or so ago. That was kind of filling me out for different reasons, and kind of asking some questions, just like a typical resident would.
yeah,
That's the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, hey, what does this look like? What might this look like? I think back when I was finishing up, you had like maybe a 2-year associateship. It didn't last very long. It almost always led to a partnership. And almost always it was equal, right? So in other words, like in my situation, 4 guys, 25%, right? Or if it was a solo guy, you're buying 50%, right?
mm, mm,
Nowadays, I think it's a little different. I think owners are keeping the equity a little bit more. They're going to give some equity to the young guys coming out, but they may not give an equal percentage,
right,
right? And so you need
right,
to show value, right? Because I mean, as much as I absolutely love what I do every day in my profession, and I'm still excited to go to work every day. I mean, I still
mm,
like it that much, right? But it's a lot of work, and you put a lot of time into it, and so you don't want to just give something away, and you don't want to have somebody just assume that
right,
it's theirs either, right? So as an associate, if I promise you this, you get along with their team that's in
mhm,
place, right? You bust your tail, you do your best work, and then you seek for new docs to send to you, right? You cultivate those relationships, right? Because one of your senior docs has been working with somebody, and the dude's 45 and years old, and he's been working with them for whatever 15 years or whatever. I mean, yeah, that guy might be able to send you a little bit more to your practice. He might like you, right? He might kind of get that relationship going, but it's already there. That relationship's there, right? So you need to pick up new guys to send to you, or guys that are sending to a competitor in town, and you think you can get in and fulfill whatever need they have.
That's a good point. Yeah, in a friendly way, not a malicious way. You see a lot of that going on, but yeah, no, that's excellent points. This might be a little just something that came up when you were telling me about the one house, one wife.
Yeah.
Say you do get a condo, and I don't want to get too personal, but for my own learning, I'm not married yet. I'd like to be. I want to have kids and stuff. From your perspective, I mean, your wife's been with you your whole life. I mean, she's your center rock at the core, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure. So, like, everything is kind of under one umbrella. I mean, you were married prior to dental school, to oral surgery residency practices.
Yeah. So
because I'm hearing a lot of different things. I know a lot of lawyers. They're like the whole prenup thing, the separation, and I'm like that. It kind of just goes against my core values. I was curious with your insight if you have any on that.
Well, yeah, if you got your kind of ride or die, if you will, that was with you when you didn't have anything, right? So we both graduated from the University of Utah at the same time. When I was in Wisconsin, she got a master's degree at University of Wisconsin, right? So, she's probably smarter than me, to be honest with you, right? So she could have had her own career, but she invested in me and invested in our family. Now, nowadays, not everybody will do that. And I actually, to my own girls, like I said, 4 kids, two boys, 2 girls. My girls, I want to have careers. I don't want them to be dependent on a guy. I mean, I want them to be a team with a guy, but I don't want them to, if they're a dozen years into a marriage, it goes south. I want them to have some skills, right? So the difference is, I would say, is think, when you're coming out of residency and you're just getting, into a relationship versus being in one almost a decade earlier, right? That's probably 2 different sets of maybe
different. Yeah, that's 2 different parts of the lifetime. And then there's
I don't know if I'm even the right guy to give that answer, other than for me. So I'll just tell you what I set up a trust, your practice will have it'll be like a PC or S corp, LLC, legally you get set up. And then once you start to acquire some things, you want a little buffer, right? So I don't know what's going on New York wise, but we got a lot of boats here, right? So I'm taking my kids and 8 of their buddies. We're going wakeboarding on a weekend. I don't want. You got to have a layer of protection, right?
Yeah.
So you put your stuff in different C's or entities, and that main purpose is to kind of diffuse some liability, if that makes sense. And a lot of guys, once they're established for a while, you can get a trust, and you get different accounts for your kids, 529s, different stuff like that. But that stuff's actually not very hard for a good attorney to set up. And in fact, I had an oral surgeon buddy. I won't tell you what state he's in, but out here in the West, he's been practicing maybe about 5 years less than me, but an awesome dude. So he's been practicing roughly 15 years or so. And I was on the phone with him, and I said, "Hey man, what kind of asset protection do you have?" Because he's got a lot of stuff, man. He's done well over time. And he's like, "Man, I need to look into that." I'm like, "Hey, call this guy, get it set up." And within 6 months, he had all the stuff properly moved. And you can start that up from the start, right? But I would say from a pre-nump, it's hard to get a post-nump. I've known guys that have tried to get that. In our profession, there's a lot of general dentists, orthodontists, endo guys. I mean, my umbrella is pretty wide, if you will. So you give that enough time, and you'll hear enough stories. But I think absolutely it's wise to have some legal some legal entities set up. And I don't know how they're going to pay you, right? So they may pay you as like a 1099, like independent contractor,
right?
That may be the way they pay you. If so, you might be able to set up Dr. Gallagher LLC, and that paycheck goes in there. That might allow you to then write off a car payment or at least miles. maybe some marketing when you take some doctors to dinner, or
Right.
there's
Right.
there's some of the rules have tightened up. Back in the day, even some of these implant companies would do it. They'd take you to Florida or California and let you take a bunch
Yeah.
of stocks. You go fishing, deep sea fishing. You go play golf for the weekend. You all this kind of stuff, and the implant company write it off. There's some limitations now on this, but the team I think you need an attorney. You need a CPA that's
Oh,
not
like
like
the accountant too, right? Oh,
yeah,
my
yeah.
phone
The
just going.
CPA is
Just
the
give me one
accountant.
second.
Yeah, you're good.
There we go. There we go. We're back.
You good? So yeah,
Yeah.
you need an accountant, a CPA, and in my opinion, it shouldn't be a guy that's just that can do any tax return out there. It should be probably somebody more
Specialize in dentistry and
specialized.
text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if I were you, I'd probably call 2 or 3 oral surgeons in the greater New York area and just say, "Hey, I'm looking for an accountant. Who do you use?" And if they'll give you that information, or maybe call a couple of orthodontists or whatnot, just get somebody's opinion on who to use. Call a couple of guys or gals and chat with them. And yeah, because it will save you some money. I mean, we pay a lot of taxes. There's no doubt about that.
We certainly do. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I never thought I had to get in it because it can be uncomfortable, on either side. Talking about like a prenup where it's like, you've been together for 5-6 years, maybe, or more, less. I think it's fair, but no, it's interesting territory. I have a girlfriend, and I'm just trying to learn as much as possible because
does she listen to your podcast?
I
You
don't
might
think
not have a girlfriend after this.
I don't.
No, a good girl would understand. Here's the deal. If she's been your girlfriend the last couple of years and hasn't seen you through your near 12-year journey, right? That might be different. My wife was with me the whole time, right?
whole way,
And to be honest with you,
yeah.
I couldn't have done it without her. So like when you have those real lousy days, you feel like you can't do it. Someone's riding your butt, whatever the scenario is. She was always there to pick me up. So marrying her was a big blessing in my life. I realized that your wife can be one of the biggest blessings in your life or one of the biggest disasters in your life. And probably some of the docs listen to this, whether they're already practicing or looking to go to dental school or go on to residency. They may not be as fortunate. And so I think you probably treat the marriage going into it kind of like you would an associate contract, signing up to work with somebody from a perspective is make sure you at least have some understanding.
Yeah.
Right. Like some understanding. I don't think you can protect a lot of wealth post marriage because then it's mutual stuff you've acquired. Right. Does that make sense?
Right.
But you might be able to limit. I've heard of guys limiting maybe like spousal. At least in Arizona, we call it spousal support. I think, which is like your monthly kind of amount you'd pay if you were divorced.
If the separation, right? Yeah.
Right. So you might be able to limit that. So because say you get in a great position, you're killing it down the road, and whatever that number is, you're pulling in a month, right? If you're not looking to give up 25% of that, then you might be able to limit that in a prenup. Now, I suppose I don't have a lot of issues with that if she hasn't been there with you the whole time. However,
dental school. No, I mean I'm thinking the same route that you went.
The one thing I think where it just stops making some sense to me is once you have kids, because I feel like, I don't know, it's just me. Like once you have kids, you have an obligation. It's no longer a business contract. You know what I'm saying? Like it gets deeper than that. And so I would personally worry about getting in the right oral surgery practice, the right circumstance, the place you want to live, the patient kind of type you want to see, the contracts, the money you want to make, the fulfillment you can get out of that lifestyle. And then I'd bust your tail and I just work on your relationship and hope you never have to go through any of that.
That's a great point. That's the standpoint I'm looking at it from. You everyone who's had this experience or this incident or this separation, and I'm trying to learn as much as I could because sometimes you can't foresee things. Like my parents just a couple years ago, 4 years ago now, 6 months after I got together with my girlfriend, my parents separated, and then since then it's like I don't know how. And it's exactly what you say. You got your nose in the books, your nose in the surgery, working your tail off.
Yeah, you yeah, you can't always predict stuff, and so it is wise to be thoughtful about it and to protect yourself in a classy kind of way. I mean, I think that's the way I look. I never like to hear about the doctor of any kind that gets out that causes some problems for his family, gets out of a relationship, and then hoses his family. I don't respect that guy. I can't respect that guy.
No.
Like you can choose a different lifestyle and go different ways, but don't hose anybody on the way out. Give them the respect they deserve, and I think that's just my personal take on that.
Yeah,
Once again,
I agree
that's
with
not
that.
going to be you, Brendan. You're a good dude.
Thank you. Likewise. Just let's summarize some little quick questions because I figure what's your favorite surgery to do? Right. What's your favorite procedure? What's kind of
Yeah.
like your favorite go-to day in the morning? Is it a lot of sedations? Is it a lot of wisdom teeth? Is it implants? Is it all on X's?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a little variety for sure. But I mean, to me, as I've got a little bit more mature in my life and in this profession, I like predictability, right? And so I love doing a lot of wisdom teeth. I love, sedations of any kind. I hope our profession always gets to maintain the ability to do sedations. I love doing implants. I do a lot of, all on X as well. Those patients tend to be a little older, tend to be a little less healthy. You tend to, occupy more of your time. You got to often send pre med clearances and stuff. Sometimes you're managing, taking somebody off their blood thinners, and so there's a little bit more risk on some of those all on X cases. But I mean, this is a profession that you can make a difference in the community. I mean, I think that's probably the thing that I've had the best satisfaction is I think I've been able to integrate myself locally with a couple of high schools and through my kids or some of my kids' friends. They know me, I know them. I think they want to see me to get their wisdom teeth out. They tell their friends. I go to games. I see them around. They're in my backyard, in my pool, whatever it is. Like I think you can become part of that community, see their parents around, and then dad needs an implant, and mom needs
Grandma, then mom,
a
aunt.
yeah. So, I mean, I really think that treating people right, caring about them, it's not just a money thing, but it's a caring about them and their family and the community and having some pride in what you do. I sponsor a lot of stuff too. Kids call up, hey, can you sponsor my football team? We're doing this, we're doing that, and so you end up giving a fair amount back, to some of these junior highs and high schools, or bands, or this kind of stuff. I think for sure, if you give me one set of patients all day long, I would take teenage kids with wisdom teeth,
because that part of the community, that age group, that's fun. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of fun.
It's just it's their first procedure, right? So they come in, they're a little nervous, they haven't been sedated, so you're building trust with them, and they come back, they tell you they had a good experience, they post something about you, whatever it is. I mean, I think that's just a good age group. I mean, it's a confusing age for those kids. You know what I mean? I see a lot of kids struggling for different reasons, and they're they come in to see me. But I mean, that's an easy age group to work on, I feel.
Right. Did you play any sports growing up?
Yeah. I was
What'd you play?
baseball and football. So I was cornerback, receiver in football.
Oh, no way!
Left field in baseball.
I totally saw baseball. I didn't catch football. Okay, excellent. Any in college? That was all undergrad, high school?
Yeah, no, just high school. Yeah, no college sports.
You have one or two sons?
So I have two. So I go girl, boy, girl. Yeah.
Girl, boy. Oh, the two middle are the boy, and the girl is the youngest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so my two boys, one studying, it's called information systems. So it's more computer software kind of stuff.
Oh,
and I have one son that's pre-dental now. He's thinking that might be the right move for him, but he's kind of new to college, just kind of in the second semester. So we'll see what time he is. But they're both, smart kids, can do whatever they want. And I think that, I've been upbeat about dentistry. I really have been, but you don't want to pressure anybody to it's a long road to put a lot of pressure on a kid. Hey, go this way if it's not for them.
100%. Yeah, it's a long road. Actually, that goes back to what we were talking about before, where a lot of, especially medicine, they kind of bop around between some institutions more or less. And what, I guess, to summarize what I was saying before, was a lot of kids, students, residents now, they're coming out and they they aren't married yet, or they're close to it. They don't have a house. They don't have kids. Some of them do. I got a couple co-residents that do, but the majority of us don't. The majority of us are in relationships, but not married, I would say, or have been around for a while. So it's but to get out so late and then to be thinking about, all right, I want to have a kid. I want to have a kid soon. I got to get married first. Let's get a house. Let's talk about the house, and then I want to have a kid soon. And then 2 years after that, you just had your kid, and it's like, I got to move this practice. And now I don't know. I kind of like your mindset a little bit more. I took a lot of time to find the practice that I sign with, because I want to get, just like you said, it's part of the community. Have some kids, get the house, go to the soccer practice, baseball practice. I feel like the bopping around could kind of conflict with that, especially if you're trying to be eventually an owner of a practice, right? Because then that's not just the 9 to 5, it's MLK Day, right? Like today, it's the marketing, it's the sponsoring that baseball team, so it's, I don't know. Sometimes you got to cross something off the list and move on. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it just like you are. I'd find a spot, place where I was comfortable practicing, that had a door open to some sort of partnership, and I'd run it. I'd run it as hard as I could, for 2 years and see what comes out of it. I mean, I think a lot of people think, hey, will marriage slow me down, or will a couple of kids slow me down? It does a little bit, I guess. Meaning, it's hard to pull like a it'd be hard to pull a 6th grade girl headed into junior high and 7th grade. It'd be hard to say, hey, we're in New Jersey now, but we're about to move to Vermont because that's where I'm going to practice. I mean, that'd be a hard move, right?
It's tough, yeah.
But when they're young, they don't, I would say in the, first 5-6 years of their life, you can bounce. They won't know any different. Like you just keep your relationship strong and dream big, right? I mean, I don't know what guys are doing nowadays. If everybody's looking to join big groups, but I don't know. The bigger the group, the less you have, the less your opinion matters.
That's right. You're just an employee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
nah, it's a problem. I think it's a problem because, like you said, it's about the relationships you build. Whether it's the referring doctors, whether it's the patients, whether it's your partners, it's your staff, your team. It's all about the relationships, and it's less incentivized if you're just cashing a check, taking a salary, going home 9 to 5.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't foster that community feel, and then it's going to affect your patient care because you're trying to get out of there every day. And I get it, but I mean, there will always be associate positions for that, right?
Yeah.
What you said about the younger residents coming out there, it seems like a lot of them want to join these groups. Yeah, they're getting caught up in this big number. They love to look at that salary and brag to their other residents. Oh, I got this. I tell all my co-residents, I'm like, it's about the percentage you make. Mm-hmm. Because if my percentage is higher than yours, but your base salary is higher than mine, I could blow your base salary away if it's 40%, if it's versus your 32 and a half. It's so important.
No, you're 100% right. And I knew that coming out when, like I said, I earlier in your podcast, I said I signed a 1-year associate, but we contract, but we lacked the next, the ownership and the operating agreement. We had some stuff floated around, just nothing ever signed and official, right? And it doesn't matter unless it's signed and official. And I was trying to negotiate when I was in your position coming out because I knew my own worth ethic, right? I knew that if I got a call at 4:30 and it was like, hey, 213 just snapped, can you pull it out and graft it and put an implant in it? I would stick around, right? Like, why would I not, right? And so to me, I was trying to say, hey, give me a percentage. But for my 1-year associate, they're like, hey, here's your base. And then we'll bonus you twice based on how we, just added no formula, just for being a good guy if we want to.
Oh, no formula, no like production or collection.
They didn't. Once again, this was a while back, right? So it's a while back. It wasn't current, but I knew it was just 1 year, right? So I don't think I wouldn't have signed that for 3 years because you can get within 1 year, you can get ramped up and be seeing a bunch of patients. To me, like, sometimes you might get in a position where you like the guys, you think you're going to be able to fit in, and it might not be your most favorable contract for 1 year, but you have a pathway. I don't know if I'd push much against that. You can only push so much before you start getting kind of friction between the group, right? But a percentage is better, right? Because if you know your work ethic, if you're going to work hard, you're going to make more money. But let me tell you where it gets totally tricky. And I don't know what your situation would be in Long Island, but I'll tell you
if it fits. Yeah.
No, not the numbers. I'm saying this particular situation. So let's say I'll just, once again, I'll give you my situation back then, right? If I'm sticking around and I'm seeing a patient, right, and it's based on production,
Yeah.
right, and then I have a partner practicing at the same location, even though you might rotate to different locations, but you're sometimes at the same location. You compete within each other a little bit, right? So all of a sudden, that percentage to compete, it can cause a little bit of rift because who schedules the patients? It's not you. It's the front desk, right? So
Right.
it's
Right.
somebody taking the phone call, and you're like, wait, this is my doc. I took this guy to lunch. I took him to his son's game. I did his son's wisdom teeth for free. I mean, this is my guy. And then it might be flowing to your partner's schedule, right? And so I think that's one of the real problems that group practices
Yeah,
have.
the groups.
And that's two guys or more, right? Like, how do you split income? And I don't have the right way to do that. There's all sorts of different methodology on how to do it. And Brendan, I think that's one that you just need to know it going in, and then you need to know the upsides and downsides. So certainly I would probably want a percentage, maybe a certain base percentage based upon my extra effort, because I'd be willing to give an extra effort just like you would.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I'm actually. Yeah, I mean, this is another can of worms. We're actually doing with my girlfriend. We're doing the marketing for the practice already, and another teammate we have. Like the social media posts, the website revisions. We're doing geographic marketing, like Google PPCs and Facebook ads. So yeah, it's exactly working the tail off. Let's get some implant patients in. Let's see who wants to see them, and then and then we're gonna be able to track those patients through the practice to see who did them. No, it's
and you'll help grow the practice, right? You'll help grow the practice, and one of the struggles that anybody has in evaluating a practice is, how do you value it, right? Is it just a QuickBooks number thing? Is it what part's goodwill? What part's your goodwill? Your senior partner's goodwill? I mean, those situations can be a little tricky. In your case, you want to just make sure that you can be rewarded for your effort and the extra effort you're putting in, right? Because not every associate doc coming out is going to put that extra effort you are.
Right, exactly. That's where it comes from, working the tail off and from different angles to build the practice. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I kept that part of the contract separate from what we're doing with the marketing, because I think but yeah, awesome. So you got the rest of the week to go. Did you get to any time off this weekend?
Yeah, I was off this weekend. So Friday, once again, just telling you a little bit how I roll. Like, every weekend prior to like a Monday holiday, right? So if kids are off on a Monday, Labor Day, or Martin Luther King Day, that Friday you're slammed because everybody wants a long weekend. Right. So Friday you can do a lot of procedures. I work at an occasional Saturday here or there, not mostly just around my own schedule. If I'm going to try to bounce out of town for a significant period of time, I want to try to capture maybe
squeeze some stuff in,
before I leave. But generally not too many Saturdays. So Fridays are always busy, but they're extra busy if you got the Monday off as well.
Yeah. Fridays, and then so you had a busy Friday and you had a busy Monday today.
Yeah.
That's something to consider too, because then that day, if you had a really productive day rather than taking off, you could have had like a 2-time day. I never thought of that. That's a really good point.
Yeah. I mean, some of these things you just pick up over time because you just see what works, right? But it's hard to, like, a lot of the women that work for me. I have an awesome team, by the way. They want to be home with their kids on Monday too. So some of them will take off, I'll have a couple, girls down that, like I was today. But for the most part, we can roll pretty. I probably roll bigger than most staffs do, to have the capacity to accommodate phone calls coming in. Hey, I just snapped this tooth off. Can you help me out? Or, you kind of have to build your team around the busy times, not around the slow times, if that makes sense. And so sometimes you get a little bit of standing around, but for the most part, they're pretty hopping.
How many chairs do you have?
So in my office, I practice in about 200 square feet here. I have a conference room. I'll do some CE and stuff. A pretty big lobby. I don't know if you can see that behind me.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I have 3 consult rooms, and then I have 4 procedure rooms in the back. So I have seven rooms plus it's a lab. Is how I.
It's fairly large. That's a great practice you got set up there. Very nice.
Yeah. What's the situation in Long Island for you?
Think it's 3 operatories and 2 or 3 consult rooms, and it
Yeah.
will be shared with another surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 or 4 days of the week, so it will be a little bit smaller, but probably just as busy. They take most insurances, from what I
Yeah.
recall. I did get lucky where the owner of the whole, it's one owner of the whole group. He's there 2 to 3 days a week, so you can kind of learn and mentor and
Yeah.
see his tricks and stuff.
Yeah, I
So
listen, and that's about the time I started kind of picking up on some of your stuff on Instagram. I think I listened to that podcast
oh,
with.
thank you.
Yeah, you got like him, and you got what Bloody Tooth guy. Those guys are
Yeah.
big watch kind of guys. They're cracking me up. That's not how I roll. I'm like, you know, Apple Watch, no fancy watches on my hand, but it's funny what people like to focus on, what kind of hobbies they
Yeah.
have. Those seem like two good dudes.
Yeah, they do. They do. I hope it's all right. I love watches. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
get the most expensive watch in the room. I find it to be fun, you know.
yeah, for sure. I could see how you could do that, no doubt.
But yeah, Dr. Kelly. So, okay, thanks for coming on. Right about an hour now. I don't want to keep you too long. It's dark over there too, so I'm sure you got to get
Yeah.
home. But thanks so much for coming on and chatting.
Yeah, of course, man. And I hope I did something for you and your listeners. And I'm always welcome to. You can give me a call or text as you get into this practice thing. I mean, I think kind of how we got into this starting through messaging was you'll be in situations in private practice where it's gonna, you'll be like, man, I got to keep my schedule flowing. This dude's got hypertension. This dude over here is asthmatic. This guy is, 5.5 hours MPO. He's not 8 or whatever the situation. You constantly, this is a profession where you constantly are making judgment calls, one after another. And like I said, I love it. I think you'll kill it. You'll do great. This is the best specialty out there, and I'm grateful for people that went ahead of me and fought for the rights of oral surgeons throughout the U.S. I'm grateful for guys that put us out there in the public eye right now in a positive way. And I'm grateful for so many that made my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to backstep, but did you see the match statistics of this year and last year by any chance?
What? Give me the scoop on it.
So this year, I want to see what you think of this. This year, there were 21 unmatched spots in oral surgery. Out of it's between like 250 and 350, something around there, maybe around
21 unmatched.
21 unmatched spots. Last year, there were 26. That's a very high number. 21 is very high. The year before that was 2023, there were 12. So 12's better, but still fairly high. I agree with you. I think it's the best specialty in dentistry. And then 20 of the 21 spots were 6-year spots. Technically, 2 of them were 5-year at Case Western.
Yeah. So you just told me, I mean, that makes sense though. Did you say 20 of those spots were 6-year spots?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I've never once been asked in my career, do I have an MD? Now, sometimes the public just assumes you do, or a neighbor will say, man, that must have been hard going to medical school and dental school. You'll get that kind of, stuff. And people just don't understand the route. They don't understand that it's a dental-based specialty. And that's what makes us so awesome, by the way. If we were ran by the AMA versus the ADA, that's a different beast. The AMUS is awesome. Nick, I don't know if you guys have the ability to use them in your group practice, but if you have the ability to use them, these are people that just go to bat for our profession. And the 6-year degree, no shade on those guys that want to do it. I mean, more power to them. I mean, it's great. I mean, if you can have an MD, who wouldn't want that on your name too? It's just 2 more years. It's another board. And those spots, I could see why they're not sometimes being filled. But the competitive 4-year ones, they always fill. You know how that is. I mean, those go crazy.
Only 1 spot of the 4 didn't fill. I'm not sure that last year with 26 unmatched spots, but no, it's interesting. And this year, 2 of them were Case Western. Case Western's only 5 years, so you get the MD in 5 rather than 6, and even that wasn't full by 2 spots. So people are making it clear that they just don't want to spend the extra time.
They may have had turnover with like a couple of attendings, or how did you go interview? You're talking to the attendees a little bit, then you're talking to the residents, and some of the co-residents are like, man, I don't want to, don't want to come here. This place is a hot mess right now. We got a lot
Yeah.
of drama going on, or whatever. I mean, sometimes you kind of got that feel from places, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah.
programs can change. Within a short period of time. It's no different than an NFL football team losing a coach and trading a couple players, or
Right.
losing their franchise guy. But no doubt, this is it. This is especially work your butt off and treat your referrals good, and treat your staff good, and see all the blessings that come to your life. Keep in touch. I'd like to see you at some of the meetings and that kind of stuff. You got to come visit, man. It was like 68 degrees today or something like that, and it's cold for us, man. It's cold.
It was 20 degrees here today. We got 6 inches of snow on the ground right now from last night.
That's brutal right there.
Oh, I would love to get out there, visit in Arizona. I will see you at the next year, the Amos meeting. I'll be there. Were you there this year?
I was not there this year.
Oh, come on.
I couldn't get away this year, but yeah.
Well, maybe next year, right?
I like to hit it every other year. That's usually what I do.
Every year. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be there next year. Good.
Yeah, and then I'll go to the the DIC, the implant meeting in Chicago.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever been to that one?
I haven't been to that one yet.
That's a good one. I typically will bring some of my team with me, mostly my back office, staff with me there. And then a number of years I've taken referring doctors there too. So, I mean,
that's fun. Yeah.
So that meeting is a good meeting.
Do you have any, I'll let you go in a sec. Do you have any associates working with you?
So I don't have any associates working with me. I've kind of teetered back and forth over the years on, what my next transition is. What I have done is have had somebody come in on a couple Saturdays. So sometimes they practice somewhere else and they're just looking for a little bit of supplemental
Extra,
income, and I'll book some stuff on Saturdays. I'm not here. That's just been recent and it hasn't been that frequent. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, yeah, is that in my future? Probably so. It's hard to know when things are going smooth. Knock on wood, right? You just like to keep things rolling smooth, right?
Yeah,
it's nice to be able to call the shots and control what you can, but that doesn't last forever for oral surgeons, unfortunately. You need to always have a transition plan, and yeah, that will happen.
Right.
Come on out, man. Come on out. The weather's good, man. You like to golf?
The weather sounds. I love to golf.
Golf?
Oh, I love to golf. Absolutely, yeah.
Not
enough in residency, but your attendings were taking you out. I can't get attending.
That was just right at the end, man. Kind of as a gift for me, not causing them any problems. No, you come out now. Go to there's a ton of great golf around here. Plus, you got the waste management tournament at the end of February. If you're into that, that's kind of a crazy scene.
I haven't seen that. No,
you haven't seen it.
No.
Tune in about I guess it's about 3. I don't know when this will air, but end of February, right? The Waste Management Phoenix Open gets about 500,000 people through as fans, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they're crazy, man. It's one of the more wild PGA events where it's more like a European soccer game than it is usually think of golf as quiet and reserved. Yeah. That's not the scene here, but
it sounds like fun though.
Yeah, it is. Like go Google or go YouTube something. You'll see some pretty crazy stuff.
Waste management.
I'd love to host it. Love to show you these parts.
Well, I appreciate it, Dr. Kelly. Thanks again for coming on. Hope you have a good week, the rest of the week.
Yes, you too. Stay in touch. All right, you got this.
Absolutely. Thank you too.
Yeah. Take care now.